This is Scott Spears, and today we remember a legendary actor, Mickey Rooney, who sadly passed away Sunday at age 93. Joining us to remember him is one of the funniest men in the history of television, the man who created the character Jose Jimenez, Bill Dana. Bill, how are you?
Very good. I love that introduction. That was nice.
Bill, you're a legendary figure who's about to celebrate 90 in just a few months.
Well, don't rush it.
Bill, Mickey Rooney, what did you think of him as an actor?
Well, Mickey Rooney is much more than an actor. In my lifespan, he was one of top 5 greatest motion picture stars, and had a very positive effect on kids growing up in that age. It was good, good, clean humor, anything approaching below the belt. And I always remember him very fondly, as do most people, I'm sure, in my generation. I met him a few times. I met him first when he and Bobby Breen. Bobby was a boy soprano who was with Eddie Cantor. I don't know if you remember. Eddie Cantor was a very famous comedian in the early days. And they had a Jeep show where they were a bunch of Jeeps traveling around entertaining the GIs during World War II. And I happened to be at Camp Victory outside of Marseille, France. And I was helping out there with welcoming entertainers, although I was just an infantry guy, the PFC in the infantry. But I was assigned to greet him, and he was very cordial. And of course, in that period, he was still mythological. He was Mickey Rooney, he was Judy Garland, and all that folkloric group of performers on the big silver screen. I had some minor dealings with him over the years, but we were never anything close to pals. I mean, he knew my name, and I of course knew him. He was a tragic figure. It was a shame to see what had happened to the image of this wonderful ageless sprite. But I'm really not qualified to talk about him, except as a guy who grew up loving him and Andy Rooney and Judy Garland and all these mythological folks of that era.
Let me ask you 2 questions, Bill, off of that. When you're in World War II and you are a soldier, an infantryman, whatever you are, and these mythological characters like Bob Hope and Mickey Rooney come over and perform, what does that mean to the troop?
Oh, it's everything. I fortunately got to know and be very good friends with Bob. Hope is just one of the sweetest, most generous human beings I ever knew. I don't have any relationship with Mickey other than began as a kid, like all of us, adoring him as Andy Hardy, and then feeling good that he was schlepping around Europe. This was right. It wasn't during the shooting war. I mean, he wasn't in any peril. It was just, after VE Day. But it was more symbolism than anything else. I've learned over the years it's sometimes not to one's advantage to learn people about whom you've built some sort of personal idolatry, But I'm probably not the best guy in the world to be talking about anything detailed about Mickey, but I certainly can testify to what he and Judy Garland and the folks, Bob Hope, who very fortunately for me, we became good friends later on. Mickey and I were sort of near misses a couple of times when working together in Las Vegas, but I don't qualify at all to have been a close personal friend. But I do as an admirer. He was much underrated, I believe, as an actor. I mean, he was very, very convincing. Not only in the Andy Hardy series, but in many of his other movies.
Let me ask you this, Bill, because this has come up quite a bit since Mickey's passing, and this has to do with a show you did some work on, All in the Family. Is it true, it's been reported, that Mickey Rooney turned down the role of Archie Bunker?
Oh, I can't imagine that's true.
It's been...
I'm not sure. I mean, you can call Norman Lear's office. I'm sure Norman or somebody will tell you that, but I would, if I were a betting man, I would bet that was never, I've never heard of it.
Norman Lear.
I mean, if you put the two characters side by side, I think he was lucky that he didn't accept that role.
We'll have to cross-reference it with Norman Lear, but the papers are reporting that Norman Lear tells a story that he wanted Mickey Rooney for the role, and when he went to Mickey for it, Mickey said, "Norman, they're going to burn you at the stake. I can't do this."
But Sandra, burn him at the stake for what?
For saying that sort of verbiage that Archie Bunker said, if Mickey would have done the role.
Oh, no. That doesn't, I'm a dear friend with Norman Lear for many, many years, long before the Archie Bunker show, before All of the Family, and I can't see a scintilla of truth in that.
I think you
that story, and I can't see that he would be considered for that role. I think he would have been at a loss. I'm talking about the criterion of the role that
Carol O'Connor.
Yeah, that Carol. I mean, Carol was the non plus ultra in that role.
Let me ask you this, Bill. How is the world going to remember Mickey Rooney?
Well, I think it'll be a generational thing. I'm sure a lot of people currently will say Mickey who, because he hasn't really been out there for a long time. And he went through a long period where there was where the press he was getting was usually negative. He had unfortunate relationships with with his women. But I have to underline this by saying I am not, other than being a fan and a slight acquaintance, I'm no authority on Mickey Rooney.
Let me wrap this bit on Mickey Rooney up with this, Bill, because I've talked to Marvin Kaplan and Kay Ballard today about Mickey.
Oh, how is Kay?
Kay's wonderful, 88 and doing fine.
Yeah, she was the same age.
Yeah, she just did
Is she in Palm Springs?
She's still out there, and she just did a show, stage show. So,
oh, that's great. She is wonderful.
She really is.
Yeah, she's as a female to comedy, she's right at the tippy top, I think.
You two will have to get together via telephone soon.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her in a while. I was doing a review in Palm Springs a few years ago, and I saw her. We were, not real close pals, but we always liked each other, and she is a consummate professional as a performer. And I never heard a bad word spoken against her.
Well, in that vein, Kay and Marvin, again, just their opinion, and I think you've sort of said it too, that the last 10 years of Mickey Rooney's life with the fights with women and kids, it wasn't a happy ending, they seem to feel. Do you echo that, Bill?
Yes, but not as any authority, but just knowing about the reports of the discomfort he had in the relationships. At one time, some third parties were trying to put us together in Vegas, and I felt very uncomfortable in the whole process that went on. I don't think that he, and I as I'm saying this, please know I'm as knowledgeable about Mickey Rooney as you are. You're probably much more than I. The show business being as small a world as it is, it's very easy to not necessarily make enemies, but do the wrong thing enough, and people lose interest in you. And he may have been victimized by that. But as I'm saying this, I preface it with I know as much about Mickey as you do, much less actually.
Well, Bill, I want to get on a subject here before we end the interview that I know you know a lot about, Bill Dana. How are you?
I've met him. He's adorable.
How are you doing these days, Bill?
Very well, very well. I'm a happily married man to the most beautiful woman in the world, my wife Evie, and we're having a good time. She puts up with my shenanigans, and we're okay. We're living in Nashville now. Evie's from East Tennessee, so we get to visit up in East Tennessee in a real holler, with the creek running through it and everything. And we have a very nice life.
Bill, do you have any projects you still want to do at this point?
Well, yeah, I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I started a new class of business several years ago, which I got detracted from, called Collect Attainment, which we could talk about it when I get something rolling, and we could talk later. But I'm working on, I broke out in guilt bumps when I said I'm working on, because my wife is always after me to get work on my life story, which is fairly interesting. And one of the things it includes is when Mickey Rooney came to visit us at Saint-Victor, which is right outside of Marseille, just at the end of World War II, where he and Bobby Breen, do you know who Bobby Breen is?
I've heard that name.
Yeah. He was a boy soprano with Eddie Cantor on the radio in the old days, and he had teamed up with Mickey. If you do, I don't really know Bobby, but I know he's quite successful entrepreneur in the show business stuff in the Miami area.
Bill, I want to ask you something before we part ways here. I saw an interview with you not too long ago. I'm not sure when it was taped. Obviously, your character that people loved, Jose Jimenez, that you said you felt that character was killed off too early. Excuse me. Where would
yeah, I don't, I never agreed with, although it was falling on my own knife, I thought that was a mistake. It should have been a more dignified exit. But I'm on the board of the National Hispanic Media Coalition, and I was working very much in what we were calling in those days the La Causa, the cause, working with Anthony Quinn and Ricardo Montalban and Vicky Carr and all those people. So it got a little strange that there's a guy that is so active in the cause is getting slings and arrows about the character of Jose Jimenez. So, that's such a long story. I'll just end that there. But
well, tell me this, Bill. If he were still around, what would he be doing today? What would that character have evolved into in life?
Who are you talking? Are you talking about me or Mickey?
Jose.
Oh. Well, it probably, as it did, it ended up spinning off other stuff. I brought in Don Adams, my close friend, for many years, and created the character of Byron Glick was his name, who then when we were canceled, they took the same character and called him Maxwell Smart. So we were, during both of our careers, very, very close and dear friends. I miss Don. He's a good guy.
He was a very funny man. Bill, I thank you for giving us a few minutes to discuss Mickey Rooney's life and talk a little bit about what you're doing today. Before we part ways here, and I want to have you come back because I enjoy talking to you, and I think there's a lot of great stories. Years from now, because you got a lot of energy and a lot of life left, how would you like to be remembered? Bill Dana.
As a guy who tried his best, and served his country as a combat infantry soldier, and went into even more dangerous places like show business.
Well, isn't it the truth? Bill, I got to tell you, I saw you in an episode of Golden Girls the other night playing Uncle Angelo.
Yeah. Uncle Angelo, yeah.
Very funny. Very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole was family, the Danny Thomas gang, and I speak to Betty White every once in a while. We're about the same age. She's a delicious, wonderfully gifted lady, very, very generous. human being, and I'm so happy that she's never been anything except a well-loved star. But all of them, B. Arthur and the whole gang were just delightful to work with.
Well, Bill, you're a delight to talk to, and I thank you for giving me the time. And as I said, you come back anytime you want. And
where are you?
We're in Ohio.
Oh, what city?
Marion, just north of Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a pleasure, Bill, and I hope we get to talk again soon.
All right. Take care of yourself.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.